Hello, beautiful souls. I hope this video finds you well today. It is February 5th, 2024. I want to talk to you today about something that you're going to have to expand your um, your ability to receive information on. This is not a new topic. It depends on where you've been going down these rabbit holes. I have videos that talk about this topic as well. Many times I've mentioned it. So check out my video library and see what you can learn there. But today it's going to be a lot of information, and Source wants it brought forth because the environment we live in has drastically changed, and I'm sure you're feeling it. So, non-player characters, they've all been activated. If you know anything about them, I don't have a better term for them. I wish I did because I'm not a gamer. But the premise behind that moniker is that these are negative AI controlled beings. They do not have a soul, never had a soul, and cannot have a soul. They come into this planet many different ways. They can be born to a human mother and father. They are indeed human. They are not a body that a soul ever chooses. They are negative. They are negative to the core. They are pre-programmed to do and complete certain things. And I'll get into that. But with the ability to talk to your higher self, to speak to Source Creator, you can do your inventory of the people that you engage with. Those that give you that creepy vibe, those that tend to never say too much, and then all of a sudden they explode and they are unreasonable, they're difficult to be around. Typically they're kind of like the sleepers, and then all of a sudden they wake up and they're super opinionated, and it's usually an extreme. Those are typically your NPCs. They are often confused with organic portals. The difference being that organic portals have a micro soul. They have their lower 3 chakras, and our NPCs they have no ability to connect. They have no chakra system. They are not able to have the flow of energy from source light at all. They're put on this dimension with a pre-programmed plan that can always be updated by high-level off-world or negative AI beings. So it's estimated that half of the people, half of the population walking around with hearts and lungs and blood pressures and brains and the ability to speak and have a job and drive a car and do all the things are actually non-player characters. They are soulless beings with a pre-programmed agenda that they really don't even have control over. Okay, this is not a situation where you can reason with the consciousness of a being, because they have none. So initially, again, they were placed by negative AI off-worlders. They were pre-programmed with agreements with dark world leaders here in our dimension. They're very aware that the non-player characters are here to be their masses, to be the push behind a lot of the narratives that make no sense to us. And you wonder, why are so many people following these crazy agendas? And it's because they're mostly made up of organic portals and non-player characters. This, in fact, provides the masses that helps to fund and provide the soldiers, basically, for the fight that the dark entities of this dimension have waged upon us and are still waging upon every world, every country that they inhabit. So in general, not 100%, but in general, the beings that consist of the makeup and the anarchists are typically non-player characters. They love to follow along. They're not leaders. There's usually an organic portal or a human being that had a soul that traded it for power, that is the leader of these groups. But the groups are pretty much comprised of non-player characters. Some of them are Antifa, the extremist that you see, whether it be extremist for pro-choice, the extremist for any of the lives matter type things. A lot of the superficial, in their ego, can't do enough to improve their own look and appearance beings. So this could be a lot of people in Hollywood, a lot of people in front of any kind of camera and or microphone, and a lot of the beings that prey upon the weak, the women, and the children, or a lot of them are programmed to do this because it weakens our society. So if these are some of the questions that I've had in the past, and I'm just going to kind of go through them because shock and awe is a real thing. And I really want you to kind of get beyond the shock and awe. This is not science fiction. This is science fact. Just like we were created a very, very long time ago to, in a hybrid program as a humanoid space beings, to be the slave race for the Anunnaki. A lot of beings are created for specific purposes and have been forever. Okay. Not every being that you sit at the table with, that you sit in a conference room with, that you see on TV, that you see in Congress, that you see at the grocery store, a lot of them, by statistics that we know, provided to us from source creator. Like, this is a you need to know what you're dealing with kind of conversation. About half of the population, which is estimated to be 8 billion people, about half of them are non-player characters. Okay, so you just take that number off the table. So now you're down to 4 billion. Okay, so then you've got a huge number of that 4 billion that are organic portals. You take that off the table, you're down to about 3, 2.5, 3. And then you've got the whole group of people that were perfectly good, completely intact, souled beings, SOULD beings, to source creator. And out of their greed and their ego and that false sense of self, they traded away their soul, and they now are fully aligned to the dark agendas. So you take that group of people off, and you end up with a very small number in the grand scheme of things. Remember, we start at 8 billion. We get down to about 500 million beings that inhabit this dimension, that have a soul, that are good intentioned and aligned to source creator. So when you think about it that way, you realize, well, no wonder there's so much fuckery going on. Okay, these are not people that you and I, having a soul, having a consciousness, working on aligning to source creator, understanding that there is ascension, that we evolve on a soul level to go to the next highest plane of existence. You can't reason with these folks because they don't have the capacity. Am I telling you to give up on every being? No. I am saying take the steps to learn who's in your circle, who's in your family, who do you work for, who do you have energy exchanges with. Okay, there are many, many people in our day-to-day lives, because of those massive numbers, they outnumber the souled beings that we engage with that have no soul. They do not have good intentions. They may or may not have been activated yet. They may or may not have been acting upon their pre-programming yet. And so you may see them as no threat. But I warn you, to know that a being does not have a soul needs to be all you need to know. It really does, because in the absence of a soul, source creator's light and love and energy cannot come through. There is nothing to connect to. They are just matter. They're just avatars. We are just avatars that a soul, light, energy body chooses to have an existence, to encounter events and occurrences for the soul to grow. It's not for the matter to grow. The matter decays. See, this is a temporary existence. So you really have to just get down to the brass tacks of it. For me, my opinion is, once you are able and clear to say, does Annie have a soul? No. That's the end of the questions. You don't need to know any more about Annie. Okay? Annie doesn't have a soul. That means I'm not going to engage with Annie. Now, what if you work for Annie? Well, you can block Annie's energy from yours, and you can block any ability to engage with that energy, and do so with clearings every time you have to engage with them. Okay, until you are able to find another job. Because they don't have clear intentions that are positive and aligned to source creator. That is a common core characteristics. So this is some of the questions. I'm just going to run through them. If I have a soul, how could I give birth to an NPC? Did they get it from their father? Oh, check the father. Nope. Dad has a soul too. So back in, I don't know, last year sometime, I did a video about soul contracts. A light body, an energy body, a soul, we can talk about it all being basically the same thing. You go through your incarnations, you accomplish what you accomplish, you go back into the light, you are received by the angels and the archangels, you receive healing that the energy body needs. And then after a certain amount of time, you come back and you meet with the karmic board. And the karmic board consists of several beings that they've ascended, they're ascendant masters, they are different archangels, and they have a say in what does this soul before us need to accomplish in the next incarnation. The goal is to ultimately transcend the human experience, right? To have experiences in all the different levels and dimensions that you need, and all the different events and possibilities that soul requires to understand how to not succumb to duality. So the karmic board can say, okay, Nicole, like whatever, I know my soul name, but I won't use it here. This is what you accomplished in all of your last incarnations. And this is where we see that you need to go back, incarnate in the third dimension. And you're going to you should encounter the next set of events to allow for your soul to fully grow. So this is how we actually contract to have these obstacles in our life. So it gives us the opportunities to grow as a soul, to make the higher consciousness decisions or not. So completely in the light aligned souls can contract to have an NPC child, because having an NPC child presents plenty of opportunity for soul growth for those parents. And that's the simple answer. The other thing is that these beings can come about in any stage of development. Okay, so they can literally be created to be a 10-year-old and then grow from there. They don't all come in as infants. Some are adults. Okay, it just depends on what the need is. It's like using a 3D printer and printing out, oh yeah, we need some more bobs in this area over here to fall in line to boost this negative agenda, because doesn't have as much support as it needs. So that's one way. This is another question. How can a child or a baby be born without a soul? Again, Soul contracts are, and the karmic board, it's 11:11 on the clock. The karmic board decides that me as a soul, I've gone through the embryonic stage, the fetal stage, the infant stage, the birth process, all that many times, and I've aced it. Okay. I don't need any more of that experience. So, but I need to be in this family. Okay. Because you choose your family. I know that's wild, but you do. And so you don't need to experience birth. You don't need to experience the toddler years, but you need to come in about 5 or 6. And so that energy body, that soul, has chosen the avatar, chosen the body, chosen the parents, chosen the family. So you'll come in at that time. You can do that as a walk-in. We take possession of that being, and then it becomes our life as a souled being. But the child, which is completely functional, is born without the soul, because the soul doesn't need the birth experience again. It doesn't need the early years experience again. You've had all of that enough. You don't have to keep going through all that once you've kind of been checked off on that piece. So that's how that works. Another thing is sometimes a soul has been a walk-in. That's been their experience, that they've walked in beings at a certain point, like teenage years or with an accident and having to learn how to walk again or whatever. And so they have those experiences, but they're lacking on the birth process and the infant process and the, the nurturing process. And so they choose to have the front end of that child's life, that being's life. And then they don't need the rest of it. And so they leave, and the older soul that needs the other soul that needs the older aged avatar experiences will walk in. And that happens quite frequently too. That you'll see most of the time with some sort of traumatic event, near-death experience, severe illness, things like that. And people will say, like people in the family will say, so-and-so is never quite the same after that illness, after chickenpox, or after that car accident, or whatever the case may be. It presents an opportunity for an exchange of one soul has checked the boxes that it needed in that avatar, and the other one walks in. So a single birth of a child can have no soul, or can have a soul that doesn't need to be there throughout its entire life, and another soul walks in and that soul kind of taps out. Okay. I know this is a lot, but it's a thing. And if you have any doubts, or this doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. This is not for you, but truth resonates in your soul. And if this message is for you, this is resonating with you. This is bringing up people in your life or occurrences in your life that suddenly, all of a sudden, make sense in a way it never did before. So interpret that. And again, I have a ton of videos on a lot of these that are more in depth, but I wanted to give some background before I got into the whole NPCs being activated. So now we're at this 3D timeline. Okay, so there's timelines that change every second. We're jumping timelines. Okay, some are really big jumps that we do collectively. Every being in the third dimension has these possibilities of timelines. Every being in the fourth dimension has possibilities of timelines. Every being in the fifth dimension, and so on. Okay, you have the option, by choosing your free will choice, choosing the higher timeline, to jump higher, or if you choose something self-serving or something harmful to others, or something because you're listening to your ego, you're going to go down the scale. So you'll go to a lower timeline. Okay. And this happens throughout life. This is just what we do. This is how we function. This is how we ascend and descend. So I mentioned that all NPCs are controlled by very powerful off-world negative beings. There are entire galaxies, entire planets of negative AI beings. That is all that they know. There is no consciousness. It is only programming. If the programming goes awry, there's like a bug in the system, they just destroy it and start over. Okay. It is actually a way of life for many of the negative AI beings. And this has been around for a very long time. Okay. Not everything in the ethers or in space or in any galaxy is positive. There are positive and negative in every single race. I have to stress that. Not every Pleiadian is positive. By and large, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Andromedans, Syrians are very positive beings, but there are always negative beings in the mix. Okay, so that's where your discernment comes in. That's where your ability to detect who and what you're encountering on an energy level comes in. How do you get there? You got to get cleared. You got to have a QET session with me or another completely vetted through Source Creator, souled energy healer, and they are far and few between, I promise you. Especially now that a lot of them have been cleaned up. But once you're clear, then you learn what energy hygiene and spiritual hygiene means, and you protect your energy and you protect your clearing, and you make sure that if you come encounter with something that is not in your highest and best good, but it was out of your control, maybe someone popped into your office and you got bad vibes, you clear yourself and you clear that negative energy right away. You don't let it just be, because the longer it's around, the more strength that it gets and the more destruction it can cause in that light body. So the NPCs come here with a mission, okay? Some of them are not activated until other events take place. Okay, so some of them have been put here on this planet to really, like I said, be the masses, be the voter fraud people, like be the voices behind some of the negative stuff, but they really haven't done much other than join other crowds. And that was all they were supposed to do. And then they die. Like whatever they live, whatever life they live, and then they pass away like a regular, death. Then you've got some that are put in strategic places that will be activated based on events around them. Okay, so prime example is some truth that has been hidden for a very long time starts to be disclosed, and the next thing you know, there's an active shooter at a school. And the active shooter either shoots himself in the head or gets killed by the police, and so there's no interrogation. I have found with almost everyone that I have been aware of, that I've asked, is this active shooter an NPC? And I always get yes, and then I confirm with others because I might not be, neutral. And we confirm it, and they basically all have a kill switch program where they're never going to be interrogated unless that's part of their program. They're not going to be arrested. They're not going to stand trial. They're not going to have all the things you would think. Like I've heard people say, well, how come all these school shooters always get killed or they kill themselves? Because that's part of their programming. They're supposed to create chaos and never have accountability for it because they're just following orders. So, and you can see that every time they label these events false flags, because they're saying, we know some truth is happening over here. Don't look at that truth. We need to keep that hidden. Look over here at this chaos we're causing. Right? False flag will happen. So a way that they are activated is through our 5G networks, right? They also can be activated with phrases. If you've seen Captain America and you've seen the red face, give the phrases to activate Bucky. That activates that programming, that activates that killer inside, that killer instinct. And they are incommunicado after that. Like they are focused on their mission and that's it. No one will stop them. They will die trying. Very, very similar. So there's multiple ways. Am I the end all be all when it comes to this conversation? Absolutely not. I know what I know about them because I've encountered them. We learned through discernment and downloads what we're dealing with so that we can protect ourselves. And then the more that I recognize it, the more I get downloads from Source Creator, from other beings and Ascendant Masters over the veil. Like, yes, this is exactly what you need to be recognizing. This is exactly what's happening here. These are not people that anybody could have ever made a difference in their life. No kind of counseling or love or anything like that or compassion would have ever made a difference in the outcome because they didn't have a soul. They're not connected to Source Creator. They don't have a consciousness. They were always going to end in that manner. Okay. So for me, it has helped me make sense of the chaos, right? Because there's many times where you go, why did this have to happen? Why did these children have to die? Why did, any number of negative things that have happened in our world? Why did this have to happen? And it makes sense of the chaos. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. I'm not condoning this behavior. So recently, and I will not name his name because I don't want to give him any more fame to his acts. Recently, an NPC was activated in multiple stages. And the first part of his activation was to create a very negative, very destructive militia and embolden other NPCs to do exactly what he does and see him as a leader. And then another activation came through and that triggered him to decapitate his father, who was some sort of federal agent, and make a public video. That video has been taken down, but I saw it. My team made sure I saw it the night that it happened because it was this is what we've been warned about. We've been warned for a very long time that these very negative beings would be activated in a way that would cause so much chaos that the light beings would not be safe to be out among them like we were before. And I thought, well, this is that activation coming. Like this is that second wave or third, or I don't know. I shouldn't give a number to it because each being gets activated according to their program. But with this activation of this particular being a leader of a group militia, my team made sure I was aware of it, that this was like one of those light bulb moments where we needed to think about what we do and how we do it. So, am I living in fear? Absolutely not. Do I want anyone else living in fear? Absolutely not. Fear is a low vibrational state, and I don't want you there. I want you aware, and I want you taking your power back. And that is the best way to navigate the waters that have been put in front of us, the obstacles that have been put in front of us. They want us to fail. They want us to be in fear. They want us to feel that we don't have a say. When in reality, you absolutely do. It takes that spirit of light source being, that vigor and that gnosis of, I know exactly who and what I am. I know exactly who and what I'm supposed to do on this planet. And it is not to cower in fear, but it is to be aware. And it is to make decisions in my day-to-day life based on what is in my highest and best good. This is a big important thing because you can have a lot of NPCs in your family. that are always coming to you for help. They're always looking to you to save them. They're always looking to you to make things okay. And nothing's ever really okay, right? Because that's their MO, that's their programming. It is up to you to understand what a healthy boundary is for your energy body, for your soul, for your light body. And it is up to you to defend and protect your energy body. Okay. People say all the time, so and so didn't respect my boundaries. Well, it's not for so and so to respect your boundaries. Okay. Remember, a lot of these walking around talking to you, they have a brain, they have a heart, they have lungs, they have a blood pressure. What they're missing is a consciousness. They're missing a soul. You're not going to reason with them. They're not going to suddenly agree with you when you're trying to get them to align to source. That is a completely waste of time. You're engaging with a being that only wants to destroy and cause chaos. At minimum, they just want to be a part of the chaos. So, how do you protect yourself? You got to know what you're dealing with. That's why I do this video. That's why I've done the videos in the past that are not all rainbows and butterflies. You know, the truth is empowering. The truth does set us free. That is why they want the real truth hidden. And it's coming out. It's not coming out just from me. There's a lot of people out there that are digging for the truth, and they have the eyes to see and the ears to hear and the soul to recognize it. Recognize the truth. Accept it. It's hard to hear that babies can be born without a soul, but it's true. That's not the reason the babies are born sometimes. Okay. And that baby can have a good soul later on, but the soul that chose it didn't need to be a baby again. Okay. So you just got to get real and stop buying into the indoctrination and the matrix, because they have so many people brainwashed that it has to be this way and anything else is wrong, because it keeps you exactly where they want you to be, controllable. Okay. I am not controllable, but I am in alignment to source creator 100% of the time. I check in with my team. And when I say my team, I check in with the angels, the archangels, the ascendant masters. I get messages all the time of, yes, you're on the right track, or no, don't do that. Or you can do this, but let's drag our feet a little bit on it because the collective isn't ready. You know, like I sense the shifts in the collective very, very easily. I'm not the only one. So pay attention. Okay. Having blinders on and having your head in the sand is not going to protect you. Okay. That just makes you an easier target, in my opinion. Having an awareness of who and what is around you is how you protect yourself. So you understand what a healthy boundary is. You understand what an NPC is. You understand what an organic portal is. You understand that people have wagered away their soul, and they are solely controlled by their ego and a false sense of self and anything that aligns negatively. Those are the people that you want to cut out and detach from. I don't care about a label. I don't care about the label if they're your kid, if they're your mom, if they're your entire earthly family. That is a family you soul contracted to grow up with. But when it is no longer serving you, when it is no longer in your highest and best good, it is up to you to forge a new path in alignment to source, away from what no longer serves you. If you have learned your karmic lesson from your karmic people that you soul contracted to be with, whether it be a husband, a family member, a boss, a job, or whatever, it is up to you to then recognize, I have learned this lesson. My soul no longer needs to be put through this meat grinder of a life, and I'm going to go the opposite direction because it's what's best for me. That is completely 100% for you to decide, discern, and to do. No one can do this for you. Free will choice. You have all the guidance. You have all of the benefit as long as you have a soul. To even if you are on the fence, we call it in flux. You don't know how to give up 3D stuff. You don't know how to live without the things you've always lived with, but your soul is pushing you toward the light. You're pushing you to let go. But then you have work to do. You have shadow work to do. Do it. That's how you get to the truth. Distortions in our energy field do just that. They distort the energy that comes in. They distort the messages. They distort them in a way that benefits them, which is negative. So if you clear your energy body with a QET session, quantum energy transformation, or any other method to clear out negative energy distortions, and you are a clear energy field, you then have a leg up on all the chaos around you because you have direct access to Source Creator. You may not have a relationship with any Ascendant Master. You may not even believe in Ascendant Masters yet. I venture to say, if you get that far, you believe in Source Creator. And you can say, Source, let me know. Is it in my highest and best good to continue to engage with my sister who has tormented me my entire life just because she's my sister? We get a pat on the back whenever we engage with those beings that are in our highest and best good. And we also get a pat on the back and level up when we take our power back and maintain our sovereignty. That means you don't bow down to the label, but you recognize the being for what they are and the decisions that they made. So if they fall in that list of NPC, organic portal, soulless being, again, first question, does so-and-so have a soul? If the answer is no, that's the only question you need to know. Detach, cut the cords, send both ends to the violet flame, and move in further into the alignment to Source Creator. Will that mean that your life looks different? You bet it will. You bet it will. Typically, what you're going to see is you find yourself because you're no longer having energy vampires suck all your energy away from you. You no longer have people torment and torture you. You no longer have people laying blankets of guilt, shame, blame, and pain over you every single day of your life or every time you engage with them. So you get to see and feel and hear your guides and who you are and what you're meant to do. And then all of a sudden, one day you're going to be like, I have peace and I have calm and I have a sense of love within me that I have never had before from all these people that are supposed to love me because they never did. That wasn't their programming and that wasn't what they were here to do. And that wasn't what you contracted to do with them. They were here and you were here together to make you a stronger, more evolved soul so that you could level up. But once you're there, you don't live there. You let it go. I have a video about that. Let it go. Once you understand who and what you're dealing with, you got to let it go. Okay. It takes you loving yourself enough to change the dynamics of your life. It is not up to anybody else to do that. It is your decision. If you don't love yourself enough to put your foot down and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I understand that this may cost me my job, or it may cost me my family. It may cost me my sister, my brother, my whatever. That's okay. Because this is just one life. In the grand scheme of things, it was meant to show you true love and what that feels like in a duality state where manipulation and abuse and all the things that fall under the negative beings is not love. And love is the key. Do you love yourself enough to find true love? And that true love comes through Source Creator, through you, so much so that it exudes out. Okay, you're no longer feeling like an empty vessel. You're completely filled. Now, back to the NPC thing. I just want you to be aware. There are some craziness happening on a completely different level because this is another level of activation of the NPCs. Why? Because the level of truth of information that is coming out now is really tipping the scales to the light. The light has won. What it looks like in this dimension is chaos, because the dark overlords have been taken out. There's no big power grid of negative energy beings that they can connect to. We took all that back. It's all source light now. As above, so below, all of the light. What is left in the middle? A big chaos shit sandwich. And they're going to destroy stuff. They're going to go out in a blaze of glory. That's how they're programmed to do it. They're going to take as many light beings with them as they can, or innocent children, or beautiful things in nature. They're going to destroy what they can. That is what their programming is. Be aware of it. There is a completely different dimension you were meant to be in, and it is not this one. This is a timeline of death and destruction, chaos. And I don't say that to make you fearful. I don't want anybody to be living in fear. I want you empowered, plain and simple. So you choose to detach from all the NPCs, no matter what their earthly label is. You align fully to working on your shadows. You kill your ego, because the ego is the biggest derailer of beings with a soul that cannot find the light. You get a quantum energy transformation session, either with myself or with a vetted, confirmed with other light beings, energy healer. And you make it a mission to have daily spiritual hygiene, that when you encounter negative beings and they leave their negative energy trail behind, or they try to attach an entity to you, or they throw an implant at you, or they send you any kind of negative energy, you can recognize it and you can clear it out right away. And you understand what a healthy boundary is. So that means you have to define it for yourself. And then you are willing to go the distance to maintain the healthy boundary. That is all that we ask you to do as a sovereign soul. We have all the help of every archangel, every angel, source creator, all the ascendant masters, inner earth, benevolent beings. We've cleared Middle Earth. It is no longer dark and dangerous. The dragons, the fairies, the birds, the unicorns. In higher dimensions, we all live peacefully together. Why? Because we're all love. We are all positively intentioned to live together in unity consciousness. That is not what this dimension is about. That is why you were meant to ascend out of it. You can only do that with your own free will choice. It is time to get real with what is around you, where you are, and what you soul contracted to do, and take your power back. If you want information about a QET session, I will put the link in the description of this video that takes you straight to the QET room that I have on Telegram. If you have any questions about what does it look like? How does it feel? How long is it? How long does it take? What do I have to do to get there? Join the room, ask a question. We are happy to help you. If you have any questions about this video, I invite you to Healing Disclosures on Telegram, where we talk about all these things. I run a Telegram room that I do not really censor. There are 2 admission criteria. You have to have a soul and you have to be of the light. That's it. You can come in and have a difference of opinion as long as you're respectful. But we're going to make sure that you know the truth the best that we know it. And how do we know the truth? Because it resonates in our soul. We've been on this journey for a while. We've seen the truth separate from the lies, and we are in connection to Source Creator every single minute of every single day. So again, I hope this video finds you well. It went a little longer than I anticipated, but I'm super passionate about saving those in a way that they can save themselves. I give you the information that you can come to terms with your own power, your own plan and path, what your soul contract is, and taking your power back in alignment to Source Creator. So thank you for tuning in today to Healing Disclosures, and I will see you again next time. Have a great day.